Carnby never thought he'd be so happy to be back at Deseto. It felt like he had crawled through a long, dark tunnel of misery and regret. Now that he was back, Carnby could look into the steps mentioned in the contract. But there was one thing that gnawed on him. What exactly did this have to do with Dr. Gray?
I need the key.
Got to be around here somewhere. He wouldn't leave this house.
I don't know what to think anymore. You run into that detective fella?
Who is he? Can he be trusted?
I think he one of the good guys. Well, you know, like us.
Will he be all right with her coming? Praise the mother.
You don't need to know about all that. Just calm down. It ain't time yet.
God, it hurts.
As far as I can tell, Detective Carnby seems to be solving problems, not causing them.
Just be ready in case he starts anything.
The two orderlies still hadn't found Jeremy. Carnby figured this was good news. Emily had reminded him about some strange deaths at Deseto, and Carnby wasn't sure who he could trust.
Here we are in Chapter 4. We have returned to Deseto after being away in the other worlds for a while. The sun has set and the weather is getting worse. We just learned that Baptiste and Lottie are back in the house, and we put a little bit of suspicion on them, because this chapter is about getting the player to first become a little paranoid, but ultimately feel like their character has almost lost their mind.
After coming back to the Deseto, we have this night mood going, and besides the blue moonlight, we have used the green light, the green artificial light, as an amplifier to increase the amount of horror or nightmare mood, sort of.
What the hell was that?
We must have faith that...
Emily will have to die. You can't let her...
I don't want to run into the orderlies right now. Not sure I can trust them.
I don't worry about the detective. He knows his place.
I think Dr. Gray might be in there. Perfect time to snoop around his office, then. It's blocked.
Lunacy.
As we were opening up more of Derceto in Chapter 4, it felt necessary to close something off, to avoid having the player roam around unnecessarily in places where nothing was meant to happen. But to let the player have one final look, we lead them through the dining hall and the library, but most importantly the conservatory. If you have finished the game, you already know that this is the most important room in the house. This is where, early on in Chapter 1, we first show you the tree, which turns out to be the final boss in Chapter 5. Even though the player doesn't know the tree is the big baddie yet, it felt important to remind the player about it, that it simply existed. That's why we take this little lap before we get into the proper play area of Chapter 4.
What is that?
You must see
Another huge difference is that even if I used to say that the house in the original game was a kind of character in the game, actually it was more just Jeremy Hartwood's house. But now there is really more connection between the character and the house.
We certainly had a little bit more freedom to make Derceto bigger and sort of mean more, I suppose. But yeah, I wouldn't immediately say one decision is better than the other. I think it was a powerful experience to just rummage through Jeremy Hartwood's house in the original.
There must be a spare key to Dr. Gray's office in here somewhere.
For me, the original game was more an adventure game than a fight game. A kind of a try to bring the point-and-click spirit into 3D.
I need the key. I don't have the combination for this. Or maybe Jeremy did.
Detective Carnby, I'm terribly sorry that my niece has pulled you into this mess. Please, with all my blessings, take her away from this cursed place. I have destroyed that Eater of Worlds and locked it away in the attic and retreated to a place of hiding. Tell Emily I'm safe. Tell her all the lies you can think of to make her listen. Take her back to New Orleans. Sincerely, Jeremy.
Brother, I need you to trust me.
Detective Carnby. Good to see you again. Solved your case yet?
I'm trying. Hey, Grace, you okay?
Oh, she is just peachy, Detective. Are you looking forward to the Feast of St. John, Grace?
I can't wait.
Kids, ain't they great?
What exactly are you planning for tonight?
Oh, not much. We eat, we drink, we pay tribute to the wishing tree in the conservatory. The usual.
Then why all the excitement?
There is just something about tonight. Something's different. I think we all feel it. Besides, we got ourselves some new words for the prayer thanks to your buddy Jeremy.
She'll come and turn the world inside out, and things will begin again.
That sounds strangely threatening.
You should come.
Oh, God damn it, Grace. Stay put for once.
McCarthy was a deadbeat. His mere presence annoyed Carnby. It was like watching the worst version of himself mock him by simply being worthless. While Carnby enjoyed watching the child outplay the drunkard, there was something terrifyingly familiar about Grace. It was taunting him, like he was supposed to remember, but couldn't.
Better hold on to these. Wouldn't want them to get lost.
Jeremy knew that the only one who could help him now was the guest in room number 3. The room seemed to have been empty for so long. But that wasn't allowed to be true. The story needed to be different. To include something from the outside, he would bring the guest back to room 3 and show them what was in that safe. 913. But those were not the right numbers. That was the combination for the safe in the clerk's office.
While all our characters are quite mysterious in their own right, Cassandra Beauregard might take the cake. She is our narrator, but she also appears to have died before we even arrived to Derceto. She is writing about our characters like it's one of her novels. I won't reveal too much, I don't want to ruin the fun of overthinking this kind of stuff, but her texts I enjoy the most are the clearly unreliable endings to her writing that you can hear in Chapter 5.
Fun fact about this bathroom is that we referenced very heavily the design aesthetics from the film The Shining. Both the colors and the yellow rounded border is taken directly from the film.
It worked.
The last guest in the empty room suffered from severe maladaptation. I must write this down, because if I understand the condition sufficiently, it could make me deny this fact at a later date, and there is reason for me to think I may come to suffer the consequences from this dysfunction, as some who came in contact with the guest seemed to adopt a new worldview in which everything was predetermined but broken. Upon accepting this worldview, some memories became unmanageable and later rejected. I do not know what this means. I cannot even remember the fate of the guest. I think they were simply misplaced one day and forgotten. Just like all documents pertaining to this guest, they have all been destroyed, or they never existed in the first place. Who wrote this? There has never been a guest in the empty room.
Dr. Gray was somehow mixed up in this business with the Dark Man, Detective Carnby decided. He had to be. Either Dr. Gray was using the idea of the Dark Man to manipulate and torture Jeremy, or the Dark Man was an actual powerful being possessing Jeremy. And in that case, Dr. Gray was simply a stooge. Maybe both could be true at once. Carnby felt his mind racing in all directions. No matter what, he had to find a way to break the pact. That was what Jeremy said was needed. It didn't even matter what was true or not. If Jeremy wouldn't leave Deseto before the contract was broken, then Carnby had to make it happen. He just wished the steps on the contract made a little more sense.
Dr. Gray's office, all to myself. Let's see if we can figure this guy out.
Dearest Dr. Manzetti,
As I was naming the things in our story that wasn't at the very center, but rather that I needed another doctor for Dr. Gray to be corresponding with, for instance, I tried to pick things found in the original game that seemed to have an essence of the thing I was naming. But as I was doing this, I realized that the original names had something peculiar to them. The names sometimes correlated with names of the developers themselves. So for instance, in the name Tarouea, it was a take on Jean-Marc Toroea, who was one of the 2D artists for the original game. Or for instance, the text named The Book of Yael, written by Monsignor Vacher, both fits the first name of Yael Barros, another 2D artist, and also Philippe Vacher, the composer. You might think this would provoke me to start pulling names out of our own team, but I instead decided to double down on the original team. Since this is a love letter to the original, I didn't want to focus on our team, but rather the ones who came before. I always split the names, of course. I don't want anyone to think I was referencing the actual person. I don't know any of them, so yeah. The only person from the original game that is mysteriously but actually addressed in our game is Frederick Renault.
This is where McCarthy has hidden my favorite young. It's very important.
I have finished tidying up Miss Beauregard's belongings. I will leave it to you to contact her agent and have them collect her things. I found one of Grace's drawings she might want back, along with this key in her room, which I believe you've been looking for. Mrs. Thompson.
This doesn't look good. I need the key.
Radiography. Hypothetical
A character that was fun to write for was Dr. Gray. He was certainly off-putting, but we don't really get a good sense of how bad of a person he was. I don't imagine a lot of people liking him, but that doesn't necessarily make him a bad person. I personally think he behaved quite poorly at times because he was a smart man, often surrounded by not so smart people, which made him arrogant and quite annoying. But he did seem to want to help people, and he never really got caught up in the whole cult business. His fall was really brought on by a lack of control and inability to sway the cultists not to call on the Black Goat in the end. All in all, I wanted to write a character that the player thinks, he can't be the bad guy, right? It would be too obvious. But maybe?
Don't mind if I do. That's better.
Dr. Gray had been putting Jeremy through some thorough medical investigation. He was trying to break through Jeremy's stories and get to some truth, just like Carnby was. Could Dr. Gray have been trying to break the contract as well?
Why does this keep happening? What am I supposed to do? And we're back here. Perfect time to have a look around this place.
The attic in the original game is not only the first room that the player visits, it's also a room the dev team spent a lot of time in it because it was the first room we worked on, and actually it's kind of abstract of the whole game. You can find a lot of principles of the game in it. You can push items, you can find books, you can find weapons, and it's actually a lot of way of working in the game exists in the attic.
They're coming. I have freed hellish forces, and now the price must be paid. Gaceto is the prey of evil. The sun has set. They will find my body, but will not have my soul. I can imagine the master's fury and the terror in the hearts of his slaves. I hear their footsteps. Some may understand what I have done. May God forgive me. Farewell. What would happen if I refuse? Would the whole world come upon? Or would everything conspire to make a new story? Maybe one where I live. I'm sorry, Frederick.
What is that?
A good example about problems we need to solve when we create game worlds like this is the attic, where we need to sell the idea that we have this large roof we need to support, but we also wanted to use the supporting beams as something that would cast expressive and kind of these thick, long shadows from the moonlit window.
Is anyone there?
Jeremy?
I need help!
Wait. Can you hear me?
I'm stuck in the mud and the bayou is taking
Jeremy.
me.
Where are you?
The motor is dead. I can't do anything more.
Hang on, Jeremy. I'll figure something out. I'll get the boat running.
Jeremy was calling out for help, but Carnby couldn't figure out where the voice was coming from. For a moment, Carnby wondered if the boat itself was Jeremy, or if he was below it somehow. It didn't matter right now. Jeremy was clear on one thing. He wanted Carnby to get the steamboat running and out of the mud.
The boat's wedged itself right into the bayou. If I get the motor started, I could try reversing back into the river. Looks pretty weak. I just... This definitely needs fuel.
Maybe the older players may recognize the music which is playing, which is Danse Macabre, which won the right record to choose in the original game to make the ghost move.
Whoa!
I'll try. Are you ready to tell me what happened in the attic? I put a rope around my neck, and then I strangled all life from my body. Are you under the impression that you died? Yes. No. I was supposed to die. What does that mean? That you were supposed to die? I'm the catalyst. I had to die to make the story happen. What story? What are you referring to, Jeremy?
30 years ago, Frederic needed me to die.
You're not making any sense, Jeremy. Come back. Find your focus.
Hey! I cheated everyone. I didn't play my part.
Hey!
I escaped my doom. My destiny.
Again, find your focus.
Hey, I'm right here. What the hell is going on?
Now everything is wrong. Nothing is in
Hey!
place.
I'm right here!
Calm down, Mr. Carnby. What do you want?
Were you not talking to Jeremy right now?
I haven't seen Jeremy all day. Are you all right, Detective?
No. Actually, I don't think so. Well, maybe. I'm gonna go look for Jeremy.
Good. Let me know if you find him.
Carnby entered some new, mucky dreamland of Jeremy's, a long-abandoned steamboat aground in the bayou. The steamboat was a hideaway that Jeremy had built over the last few days. Having seen his memories extracted and expanded into physical realms by the dog man, his unconscious mind had decided to take the chance that Jeremy could manifest a world in secret, a world that wasn't sanctioned by the dog man, deploying his own self-deceit as a gambit against his dog master.
Surprisingly neat. Maybe I've been selling that old barfly short. Looks like McCarthy has something hidden inside.
Sometimes.
This is
The empty
my room. I belong here.
The empty room always felt familiar. It had a mild fragrance of crushed leaves and wet sand that somehow convinced visitors that they belonged. It wasn't real, of course, but it was more real than many other things you could find.
Chapter 4 is all about making the player question the sanity of our hero. The story has the hero focused on breaking a very vague contract that hinges on these 3 steps, which to the player is fairly clear that it is just a treatment plan written by Dr. Gray covered in coal. This is meant to make the player worry about what our hero is actually reading into it, that we just can't see. But nothing in Chapter 4 reads quite like insanity like the empty room. The mood here is different, like we just stepped into a state of timelessness. And our character seems to feel a connection to the room, like they belonged here. No matter how on board the player is with the state of mind of the character they are playing, the empty room ultimately leads our hero to face off with their own personal trauma.
I know that number. Where's that from? I did this. I wrote that. I know the combination. I carry it with me.
Detective,
How long have I been here? Looks like McCarthy has something hidden inside. Why would McCarthy lock this up? Was he trying to keep Grace from completing the shank? If so, couldn't she have just made another drawing?
What the hell happened in here?
Looks like McCarthy has something hidden inside. Why would McCarthy lock this up? Was he trying to keep Grace from completing the chain? If so, couldn't she have just made another drawing?
What the hell happened in here?
There's something missing.
This looks familiar. How am I back at the office? Jeremy's never been here.
He was back in the French Quarter, his office to be exact, a place Jeremy had certainly never seen. It could only mean that the dark man had reached inside Edward's mind and conjured this place for him to suffer.
That's me, isn't it?
How long had it been since I drowned myself in drink and depression? It had all felt so peaceful, slipping away into oblivion. A welcoming, dark voice wrapped around my mind like a heavy blanket. It turned off suddenly as I woke up from the sound of my office door closing shut. A messenger had left a telegram from Mrs. Saunders. She had a lead on where to find her husband and her kidnapped daughter. God, I used to drink so much back then. When was this exactly? What case was I working?
I like your choice for the main characters because he plays a detective in Stranger Things. So for an adventure game, it's very, very cool to feel that you are a detective too and investigate mysteries.
I think I need to figure out where I'm going first. I remember this case. Some kid got taken by her father, headed out of state, but he had made a mistake by selling a painting that his wife actually cared about to a collector named Thornhill to fund his venture. That's how I tracked him down. At least I think so. Thornhill wasn't a bad man, but he had principles keeping him from handing out information about his deals. So he needed some convincing. Well, every case can't be squeaky clean.
We have a lot of paintings in the Derceto and in other worlds. To make this happen and to make it look as good and real as possible, we decided to use public domain paintings by real painters. Few of the objects in the game is actually scanned objects from museums and libraries that we can use, and we build a low poly version of it, and we can bake the textures directly from the scanned models.
Saunders had sold a valuable painting to Thornhill, hoping the money would carry him to wherever he was going. The painting, now leaning on an easel in Thornhill's bedroom, had a certain mesmerizing gloom that seemed to call out to me, telling me I was needed for something important. I felt myself falling into the painting, only being brought back by Thornhill, thrusting an address to a Hotel St. George into my hand and asking me to get the hell out.
I don't remember this at all, but I can't say it didn't happen. Can't go that way.
The city of New Orleans has always been a part of our design, but its usage and scale has changed due to technical limitation and in turn design decisions. Here we are in the clearest reference that still exists to the actual city, a park-like square with a looming cathedral. That place is of course Jackson Square and the St. Louis Cathedral.
On my way to the hotel, the Morgan gang caught up with me. I owed them money, a lot of it. I can't remember what for, probably some dumb gambling debt growing in size for each payment missed. I punched one of them out, and I sent the others packing. Just... I found him. In the hotel ledger, I recognized the handwriting of the signature, Ted Stryker. It was him. I could feel it. It was the kidnapper I was hunting. I put on my knuckles and hurried up to his room.
Something about that name, Ted Stryker, rings a bell. Feels vaguely familiar. I recognize this room, but I didn't catch up with them here. I must have followed them. But where?
That's right, he was running away, ditching his old life and marriage in New Orleans to find something better in Tallahassee. And he took his daughter with him against the will of the mother. That's why she hired me. But I stopped him. I caught up with him at the Pearl River Bridge.
Detective Carnby didn't recognize the bridge across Pearl River. It was firmly obfuscated by trauma, events that had left Carnby scarred for life. The kidnapper had sold a painting to Thornhill, the collector, to pay for a car and enough gas to get out of Louisiana. Detective Carnby was suddenly reminded of shaking him down to find out where the kidnapper was hiding. St. George's Hotel by the park. Carnby vaguely remembered the case of the missing child. She was kidnapped by her estranged father. There was some connection to a gallerist named Thornhill.
Pearl River. This is where I caught up with them. This is what the Dark Man wanted me to revisit. But I'm still not seeing it. What am I forgetting?
The bridge over Pearl River is an interesting level to me. It came about when first reading up on New Orleans and the surrounding area. I happened upon this old photo, this bridge with its very mechanical design that seemed to have just been dropped into this wild bayou. It just seemed beautifully melancholic, and I'm really glad we managed to translate that whole scene into the game.
For the Pearl River Bridge, we wanted to do a very sad and melancholy mood to go hand in hand with how the story progresses. To do this, we chose to go with a very earthly and yellow color palette, as well as having very calming and not too heavy animations or wind or anything like that.
can't go that way.
Oh no. It was her all along. I can't believe I didn't recognize you.
I looked a little different back then, I suppose.
Was any of this real?
How do you mean?
This day, just... so much is happening. I can't... I think I've lost my head. Do you need me to apologize? I mean... I am sorry. I don't think I need to begin to explain. You're just a kid, Grace. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen.
Lies. More lies.
No, really. I thought I was being a good guy by handing you over to your mother. I didn't know. I couldn't have known that she wouldn't care about you.
I don't know how this works. What is this for?
Some form of admission of guilt. Maybe acceptance. It's what the Dark Man wants.
I guess we just watched my father die again then.
You think he's alive?
I know he is. He's down there, scared that he won't be able to get out. That he will drown with his daughter again.
What are you saying? We gotta save him!
We? Do it yourself. I'm down there with him, remember?
Can I really save them? This all happened so long ago. I have to find a way to get down there. I have to see it with my own eyes. There was a boat at the house. There must be a way to save you both, right? Why else would I be here? Don't worry, kid. I'll think of something.
Carnby had run their car off the bridge. He pulled Grace out of the sinking car, but left her father to drown. He could have saved him. There was time. He just chose not to. Instead, he took Grace back to New Orleans and collected his paycheck.
This must be where the bridge is operated.
like something's holding it back.
Carnby, are you okay?
Don't leave me alone.
What the hell have you been doing?
What's going on here? Look at this mess!
I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson.
Don't make me kick you out of this house. Now get out!
Hey, Detective. Mr. Carnby. I'm really worried about you.
I'm okay. I just need to catch my breath for a moment.
This place? There are some very disturbed figures around here. And I don't think it's just the patients. I've been reading some things about how Derceto has a deranging effect on people. I think it might explain things.
What?
Just take it easy, okay? I'm gonna go find a way into Dr. Gray's apartment. I want to know what he's hiding.
Emily, don't worry. I think I'm close. I'm gonna set everything right.
Just be careful.
The dark man had forced Carnby to face his memories of Grace and her father, how he ran him off the bridge at Pearl River and carried on to steal his child as he was drowning. He then handed Grace off to her mother because that was the job, and you don't question the job. You take the money and get drunk. As Carnby slowly accepted his trauma, he started to wonder why it was his and not Jeremy's.
I'm not going in there. She's clearly had enough of me.
It wasn't clear to Detective Carnby that he had actually accomplished anything, but he had the distinct feeling that he was making progress. The steamboat must have been what the self-deceit was referring to, and clearly the business with Grace was psychological trauma. Out of the 3 steps on the dark man's contract, only one thing seemed to remain: temperamentic behavior. Carnby was getting sick of guessing. It was time to pay Dr. Gray a visit in his apartment. It wasn't clear to Detective. It was.
Detective, am I glad to see you. Lock the door, will you? I don't think Dr. Gray would appreciate us snooping around.
What's going on here? This feels so strange.
The fixed camera angle in the rooms we called Gray's apartment is of course a direct reference to not just the story or the setting of the original, but the actual style of that game. When we first started developing our game, there was a brief discussion on making the whole game like this, but we decided against it because it felt limiting in so many ways. But I personally think it has a lot of charm, and a fixed camera has a lot going for it. I like how it frames things that are important to the player. Since Chapter 4 is about making the player feel that their character might be going crazy, it felt like a fun way to show this as well. Jumping from the shoulder camera to this much more observing view, we get a sense of an out-of-body experience. So while it's certainly a fun nod to the original, it also fit the experience we wanted to convey.
Yeah, this kind of static camera in the game reminds me a lot the original one, but actually I hated it because when the character face a room, a new room, from the player point of view, you cannot see inside the room, so you are scared to walk in, but actually the character in the game can see inside the room, and it disturbed me a lot during the whole dev of the game.
Have you found anything?
What? Yeah, I've seen some things.
Okay. Let me know if there is anything you want to talk about.
You don't find this place strange?
Derceto is certainly one of the stranger places I've been to.
This room feels too real, hyper real, more than anything I've ever experienced.
Okay. I don't see what you mean.
Forget it. I gotta get back to breaking the contract. Yeah, that's what I was doing. There's a book missing.
What did you do?
I was just rearranging the books.
Well, come on, let's check it out. I think I'm beginning to understand. Dr. Gray is dealing with some kind of mass delusion.
What were you saying about mass delusion?
Derceto seems to have a deranging effect on people living close by. It has a history of creating cults devoted to some nature goddess. Even the name Derceto refers to the cult existing here before the Civil War. Derceto was the name of an ancient fertility goddess worshipped in Syria. Dr. Gray and his friends, however, seem to prefer the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young, or Shub-Nigroth. And that name can only have come from my uncle's twisted mind.
You think all of them are in this cult business? Even Jeremy?
I'm not sure any of them have a choice at this point. We just need to find a way to stop all of this.
I've been so busy trying to free your uncle from the promise he made to the Dark Man, I guess I kind of just let everything else go.
Don't worry, Detective. I feel like we're close. I'm sure Jeremy will turn up. If he is part of the cult, he wouldn't want to miss the Feast of St. John. I just need enough information to make him see the truth.
I hope you're right, but I doubt he'll show up. Not as long as the Dark Man's got him hiding.
Good to finally meet you, Mr. Hartwood. I'm here on the behalf of your brother Philip. You were expecting me, weren't you?
Yes.
That mark on the floor looks like talisman positions, but from which direction should I look at it?
The snake dagger.
These 3 rooms are more directly referenced to the original game. The master bedroom, dressing room, and the study. They go more into the original game's New England / colonial kind of style. So you have the bed with the canopy and the dresser and all these kind of small details that goes into it. To shift the mood somewhat and make the player not know if they are in the real world or not, we added the different mood in these 3 rooms.
Has that been there this whole time?
Hello?
Detective Carnby.
Who is this? Jeremy?
Jeremy is with the Dark Man. You can't save him.
Well, I've done everything you wanted so far, and there's just one more thing on the list. I expect him to keep his promise and return Jeremy unharmed.
Get out, Detective. While you still can.
Detective Carnby wanted nothing more than to make sense of it all. But clearly, that was not in the cards right now.
You okay? You look a little frazzled.
Just stupid telephone.
I know. I tried calling the police earlier. The telephone is completely dead.
It's not... Yeah, no, the telephone isn't working.
Detective Carnby was worried Emily could tell, that she could see the madness written on his face. But what if he was the only one seeing the truth? Could that still be the case? If only he could find evidence that would make her understand that he had seen beyond the veil, or at least something that would show her he was worth the money she was paying him.
Miss Hartwood, I think you're gonna want to see this.
Is there something in the closet?
Yeah, there is. You don't see the very obvious gate leading to whatever Jeremy's madness is serving up next?
I don't understand. Are you making some kind of fashion metaphor? I'm sorry, I don't have time for this. Can you just tell me what you're doing?
You don't see this! It's fine. It's fine. Catch you later.
Are you going inside the closet?
Yeah. You got a problem with that?
No. Do what you think is right, Detective.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Goodbye, Miss Hartwood.
Disheartened by his failure to make Emily understand what he was doing, Detective Carnby actually felt better seeing the frozen hell before him. There was a finality to it. Its clear symbolic opposite to the dark man's desert made him realize this was the end. Soon it would all be over.
Arctic level is the second and last extreme otherworld, which kind of bookends the madness, where we start in the desert, the warm desert, and ending in the cold Arctic. And the warm desert, of course, is being the lion's nest, so to speak, for the Darkman. And the cold Arctic is therefore the opposite. It's a world dreamed into existence by Jeremy to protect his own manic personality. And in charge of this protection is Jacob van Ostad, who we find and fight on top of a cliff. I could go on about how the last layer of hell in Dante's Inferno is a cold wasteland, but that was an afterthought. It really was a lot less complicated than that. It was just a text in the original called The Unfinished Chapter of Terra Incognita by Jacob van Ostad, which conjured this vision of an Arctic landscape, and that really fitted well with our narrative, so we incorporated it.
We found the ancient...
Hey, you! What are you doing here? What is this place?
Turn back, detective. You're not wanted here.
Whoa, take it easy. I'm not your enemy.
You're wrong, detective. You're wrong.
For the observatory, which is the alien-looking structures you see here, we really try to avoid going too much into the sci-fi trope and went more towards a more ancient-looking construction. And I think we found a very nice shape language for the final observatory structure, which is this sphere you can see here, and it has the Taruea star symbols on the ground, and yeah, I think it's a really nice environment, showing off some really nice 3D art, and we have obviously the Northern Lights or Aurora Borealis, giving it some magic glow going, which is also a nice touch.
Stars align, Jeremy, or maybe that is what you need to temper that mania of yours.
everything! Aren't you happy? Stupid charlatan! What more do you want from me? You want me to lose my mind?
Oh, my lord! Doctor! Baptiste! Quick!
Jesus. What are you thinking, Carnby?
You awake? You are awake. Mr. Carnby's up.
Hey, buddy! I thought you'd be knocked out for the rest of the night. Come on out and join us, will you? I'll save you some gumbo.
Good to have you back. You gave us all a good scare.
What happened?
You had a psychological breakdown. Sorry for manhandling you, but you're being violent.
You stabbed Jeremy and then punched Dr. Gray.
Are they okay?
Jeremy's a little strange, but everything's back to normal.
Really?
All thanks to you, Carnby. You want to try standing up?
Well, if it isn't the hero of the day. How are you feeling, Detective?
Never better. How about you two? Hey, Jeremy, I didn't do too much damage, did I?
Things are fine. Very quiet.
What's up with him? Painkillers?
No. You see, despite you having the finesse of a one-eyed butcher, you managed to lobotomize dear Jeremy.
I did what?
It's actually quite impressive. It's not like I hadn't considered it myself. I just wish Jeremy could have been helped without reducing his personality to that of an oyster.
But he's gonna live.
Of course. As long as someone keeps feeding him, he'll outlive the best of us.
Everything was back to normal. Did any of it really happen? What had Carnby actually been doing all night?